The zooming in is intense. Yes, people, how's it going? How you all doing? I am back with another one. And yeah, just wanted to say, leading up to Christmas, the countdown, 12 days of Christmas, as they say. Literally 12 days of Christmas. My true love sent to me. Yeah, that's the kind of Christmas that's going on right now, people. That's the kind of Christmas. It's literally the countdown. And yeah, a lot of things are, a lot of Christmas carols, a lot of mince pies. It's giving a lot of cards should be sent through the mail. Postman Pat is literally Father Christmas, like Amazon delivery and Postman Pat are working hard day and night to deliver the people's Christmas presents. And they are working overtime, delivering away and stuff. So, it really is. And it's just what I wanted to say, basically, that people are actually, doing a lot of that. Just reading a couple of startup magazines. So today, I was kindly asked to be a trustee for a charity. The CEO contacted me and wanted me to be a trustee. I have been a I've been a governor, but I haven't been a trustee. So, I thought about it and I've agreed. I think I'd make a good trustee. I was told how long they meet during the week and stuff, and when they meet, and what the responsibilities are. So that was interesting, to be honest. And yeah. This is a Discover, join our introductory Bible study. I picked this up from one of the local churches. Ideal for anyone seeking to know more about the Bible and its teachings. So they have like weekly Bible study topics. I think I might go to this one. Oh, so it's on Wednesdays. You check out the QR code at 12:30. So yeah, I've been asked to be a trustee, and when I told those nearest to me, they were like, there's always time for Bible because we Black people are spiritual people. We love our Bible. We love religion. There's no point living on this earth if you don't have any faith. So I'm going to join. What's the evangelical people? But you know what? I do like their Bible studies. Going just for them. I would like. Yes, that's the one. Bible studies or discussion. What do you want? Switch account. My decision. Okay. I just want to come and debate religion because just feeling like I wake up like early in the mornings and I start thinking about religion, and I just really need to get back into my faith. And what we're seeing around in the UK is the Church of England is falling apart. Um, there's just too much secularism. It's sad. They've removed nativity out of Christian studies, and I just want like Christianity like to be grassroots again, like in the time of the apostles when they were going around spreading the gospel. I just feel like that revival needs to come back again. And yeah, I feel I feel that's really important. But yeah, I was asked to be a trustee, and I thought about it and I accepted because I feel it will be beneficial. I think I can give a lot to the organisation and help it and secure it. But I feel honoured to be asked. To be honest, it's nice. It's nice to be honoured. I think. Mm. Non-coffee guys. I non-coffee drink. I feel honoured that they, want me in the team, and I was told that they want capable individuals, and I was obviously capable because of my skills running my own organization. I just think I can bring a lot for this. Um, so I said, yeah, why not? I said, yeah, why not? Yeah, I think so. Um, what could be so hard of being a trustee? I don't think it would be that hard, to be honest. I have been a governor before in the past. Um, um, I think, yeah, I think I could bring a lot. I think I could bring a lot to the organisation. Not only that, I've also been volunteering at a local charity. Yeah, I think. And I paid £2 for this. Internationalism. Some really kind university students, how could I say no to them? I paid £2 for this, called the Internationalism Strategic, Unprecedented and European Rearmament. Workers of all countries unite. So this is the contents. German rearmament and European rearmament. A plan for power Europe. The international battle, pan-Slavism and national questions. Elections in the USA, Jacksonian myth for Trump and Vance. Big Pharma fighting over biotechnology. The Palestinian question in the chain of conflicts of unstable Middle East. Third World Genesis of UNCTAD. The Green Deal, according to Draghi. Asian giants, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Beijing drive social restructuring. State funds in the chip war. The World Car Battle. Who is blind and who can see? So this is a proper communist paper. So according to Mario Draghi, the 10 strategic sectors on which the EU's industrial policy should focus are energy, critical raw materials, digitalization, and advanced technologies, including high-speed and high-capacity broadband networks, computing power, artificial intelligence, and semiconductors. Energy-intensive industries, clean tech, automotive, defense-based, pharmaceuticals, and transport. The defence plan is crucial for strategic reasons: the return of war in the EU's immediate neighbourhood, and the fact that its ally, the United States, is potentially focusing progressively to a great extent on the vast distances of Pacific Rim, imply that the European Union will have to take growing responsibility for its own defence and security. Europe will also face, in the current geopolitical context, a serious issue of nuclear deterrence. It's scary. The problem, he says, is the EU defence sector's structural weakness. European public spending is insufficient in the current geopolitical environment. The defence industry is too fragmented and its capabilities are too scarce. Coordination and standardization are insufficient, but so far member states have opposed the consolidation and integration of the military industrial base. See what else I want to say. Pretty depressing, to be honest. The Palestinian question in chain of conflicts in the unstable Middle East. The rise of Likud in the Lebanon war. Born in Belarus, Begin initially joined the socialist movement Hashomer Hatzair, the Young Guard, that arose in Galicia in 1913. In 1929-30, he switched to Beta, the revisionist youth movement, and became its organizational head. In 1931-1941, as a member of the Polish army, he was interned in the Stalinist Gulag, freed after the Allied accords for the reconstitution of the Polish army under the command of General Anders. So, Third World Genesis. What's this about? They're doing this whole green deal. That's their way of like colonizing the world. Don't trust it. Anyway, I bought that like recently. I was helping these young people out. just getting my papers in order, people. And these are my notes. I love my old notebooks. I love writing on it and stuff. I haven't got anything significant in this, so I might chuck it, but it's got like password details. Yeah. Okay, I need to read this for my password. This thing don't live in. Don't want that. I'm on electoral register. I will use this. Thank you very much. It's a Christmas list. Oh, bless her. It's my daughter's list. Just gonna get rid of them. That's good. So, just reading certain reason and sacred. It's a book by Ishtarla Malako. I started reading it and just got really, when I was going through my ferocious reading stage and my brain was really good. I got up to page 21. Apparently, I read this much and I just lost interest because it was so text heavy. Okay. But I like it. I love the fact that it's about Ethiopian metaphysics. I love it. I think it's a really good book. He's a very, very intelligent guy. Lasting and more resistant. Whilst compound bodies are mortal, atoms and empty space are eternal, and the only things in which all things are essentially made. For all things that have a name, either you will find that they are properties of these two things, or you will see that they are accidents of them, on the nature of things. He quotes it, which is good. So this is a book by On the Nature of Things. In addition, he maintains that humans are compound bodies made of atoms, but makes a distinction between soul and body. Nonetheless, he states that the soul is also made of atoms, thus corporeal, but that the atoms that the soul consists of are small, light, and able to move freely, on the nature of things, whereas those that the body is made up of are comparatively large, dense, jostling back and forth incessantly. Additionally, the soul and body, neither of which exist prior to the collision of atoms, come into existence together. They are tightly joined and worked together until death, where the soul atoms disperse into empty space in different directions. I mean, I was watching, the latest, that mixed race guy, posh guy that invites people on his podcast, and he was speaking to this scientist from uptown New York guy, and he was talking about the universe and very, very, very interesting discussion. So it kind of makes sense to this. Hello, how you doing? But yeah, it makes sense, like what he's saying. Did I do the back of my hair? I don't remember if I did the back of my hair. I did the front. But I haven't done. I've only done one hair. Okay, I'll have to do it later. So yeah, and then it says here, and as the body decays after death and feels nothing, he propounds the soul too does not continue to live as a creature, since what made it an entity was its attachment to the body, and the two working jointly. That's so cool. Doing fine things. For asking. Hope you are well. Yes, I am. Thank you. Praise the Lord. I hope you are well too in these uncertain times, strange times. And just as hand and iron knows, if removed and separated from us, can neither have sensation nor exist, but rather in little time are left to rot, so too the mind is unable to exist by itself without body and the person. Therefore, he concludes there is no afterlife, and humans can benefit from this knowledge by living peacefully, untroubled lives without fear of death and punishment in Atrio. So, this is the guy who wrote the book, The Nature of Things, Part 3. His name, he doesn't make sense at all. I don't agree with him at all. His name is Lucretius. Lucretius, and he wrote On the Nature of Things. Yeah. Lucretius' Epicurean doctrine is primarily, as he himself states, intended to set out for humans a new way of thinking based on reason, rather than superstition, in order to understand the workings of nature and the principal things which create life. For I am beginning to set out for you the deepest plan of the heavens and of the gods, and to reveal the first beginnings of things, out of which nature creates all things and increases and maintains them. This is what he wrote on the nature of things. He argues against the idea of divine control. He asserts that there cannot be a fixed constant mother of things because there are generating bodies for each thing. And if there were such a thing as a fixed constant mother of all things would not be generated from fixed seeds separately from each other. This assertion he uses to back his criticism of religion when stating that human life was wrongly affected by it until now, and describes it as threatening mortals from high with its horrible looking face. Religion, which Lucretius sees as inspiring fear and withholding truth, he argues works against the well being of humans and confines them. But when he allows reason to help us understand the nature of things, our fears go away. We are freed from our confinement. For as soon as your philosophy, sprung from your divine mind, begins to give voice to the nature of things, the mind's terrors dissipate, the walls of the world dissolve. Plus, the knowledge that religion is false and reason can free us from such confinement should result in an instant abandonment of fear, and the fear of Acreon must be thrown violently out the door. In upholding Epicurus' doctrine and rendering an account of how the world came into being with all its attributes, he states, which he states are not moved by any divine plan. Lucretius intends to relate how fear of the supernatural begins in the hearts of humans in order to lead us to the understanding of it being an illusion on the nature of things. This intent should slowly help us overcome our restraints that keeps us in fear, he states, of things that ought to be no more feared than the things that children tremble at and imagine will happen. Lucretian and Epicurean doctrine and ancient atheism maintains that things are neither created, will actually go up to here, from nothing, nor destroyed into nothing, and that there's no divine control and no divine plan. He keenly provides explanation for things involving nature that are hard for humans to understand, intending to lead them to an awareness according to his view, in the intent to help them overcome and abandon their fear of death and false idea of punishment in Acheron. In adopting Epicurus' ideas, Lucretius invites his readers to re examine his thoughts and consider, through reason, allowing the voice of nature. He suggests, speak for itself, that one might understand what he proposes is the nature of things, that in order to come out of the darkness of fear based on falsehood, into what he calls the light as a result. But are faith and mystic religion mere superstition? One might argue that true religious belief of the power of faith does not involve such fear as Lucretius describes, but a different kind of fear. The fear of God, which is a fear proceeding from understanding and wisdom, the knowledge of the eternal, and not a fear of estrangement and malintended harm. Because the fear of God is a fear of transgressing against love, a fear of negating that which by existential principle is the makeup of truth and radiant life of existence force. Mere belief due to fear of punishment could be opportunistic and little moral worth, and rather a giving in or submission to a superior idea due to comfortability and reason. But through faith is an anti-ethical to such fear, and thus should not entertain the idea of burning in hell for eternity, because the faith is precisely in the attainment of an eternal telos, everlasting joy. Well, that's what one ought to have true faith in. But in behaving morally, one ought to acknowledge the innate consequence of transgressing against love and its primal principle of goodness, which do bring torture to the psyche and pain and heart of the inner world, psyche and also. To the theist and the mystic religious believer, the question may not have been addressed at all, because it was examined solely and exclusively using the faculty of reason, in order to arrive at the certitude that existence apart physical and temporal reality or experience is impossible or untrue. But such certainty, um, but such certainty emanates from the elimination of doubt itself and the immersion in true faith by the psychic power of man's ability to believe. Thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you like the topic. So today's talk is about faith, and it's a book by Lij Tadla Malaku. He is a descendant of one of the kings of Ethiopia, the Zagoi line. So not Solomonic, but the Zago line. I think he is. Yeah, he's definitely the Zago line. I don't think it's Solomonic. And it's called Ethiopian Metaphysics. So he's a very learned man. So this is the book he wrote. I bought it online. He wrote it published it on Amazon. And I started reading it, but I stopped literally where I folded it. And this is where I got up to. I just found it like really text heavy. Kind of understood it, but it was a bit too complicated for me. But I just thought, let me get back to it. This was like 2 years ago I started it. When I went through like a reading frenzy of just reading so much books during lockdown, I read a lot, and this is one of them. So because this faculty of the heart being the inner, wondrous world of the man, is required in its wholeness to relate to the things pertaining to the mystical. And the forcible effectuation of solely the faculty of reason to inquire as to the mystery is a grave mistake and an inappropriate match, the errand of attempting to evaluate the infinite by the very quality of man's limitation reason. To the adherent of the mystical faith of namely the Christ, this light is an estrangement from the true light, the rejection of the true contemplation as a substitute of the essence of the divine light. The beginning of the perdition of the human psyche or the soul, because it replaces the faculty of certitude based on undoubting primordial faith in the origin of being. In regards to the mystical, for that of the reason dependent assurance misused and abused in the degree and domain of reality, where it is not due. The reliance on the ego for conviction and on doubt, for certainty, which is inherently oxymoronic, which the self determines for itself and by itself, seeing itself as the end of all, as opposed to the surrender of the ego's will to that of the eternal, to shed light on the theistic position. Um, in this light, reason always follows from one's faith. Reason always follows from one's faith in the demonstrability and the repetitiveness of natural and predetermined circumstances. I think he's using too much big words to make himself sound intelligent. I just wish he used normal text. Why does he have to use such big long words? Like, he could make what he's saying a lot easier, but he wants to prove how intelligent he is. And he's just using these unnecessarily long words. You know, he has a very good message and it sounds interesting, but his long words are just annoying me. Okay? Okay, let's try and get what he's trying to say. The sun will rise tomorrow morning, or the mountains will not suddenly melt like wax, or reality will not shake in and out of existence. This is pure faith first. Then it is followed by the concurrence of reason. Hence, one should think again before repudiating faith. Why can't you just use normal words, like normal English words? For no reasonable argument, but faith guarantees one's reasons to be certain that the sun will rise tomorrow. And if one says that that is the law of physics, then he has faith in there being an irrevertible law of physics. Okay, I get what he's trying to say now. One must consider, therefore, that faith is a faculty of the human psyche necessary for the perfection of the intellect. Though reason is indispensable in the furtherance of human psyche fulfillment, in arriving at truth and deliberative certitude, the abrogation of the faculty of faith, and abuse of reason where it isn't due, namely, in the domain of the mystical results in the abasement of the human psyche, worth and inhibition of its ascent, and true religion is founded on such faith and on such fear, which both are crucially healthy for the human, because such fear of God eliminates all fear, but that of the immeasurable and the unevaluable justice and might of the eternal and the transgression against love, revealing to one that conduct negating its principal results in the pain of one's heart, because human emotion and the psyche are extensionally contingent upon their harmony with it, and faith of true religion destroys all fear but the fear of God. Okay, I get that. Lucretius' science to prove that man's soul is also material and the atoms consisting it disperse or dissipate once the body is destroyed does not fully consider the psyche, i.e., the soul, as the wind of eternity, embodied eternal subject. It is not merely the intricate harmony of atoms generating consciousness life, but namely the mystery of being and the self. So this atheist by the name of Lucretius is an atheist philosopher who said that because the body gets split up in millions of atoms and dispersed in space and the body rots, that there's no afterlife. But people that have religion know that your soul will live eternally. And that's what this author is saying, because your soul will, it is not merely the intricate harmony of atoms generating consciousness life, but namely the mystery of being and the self-awareness, consciousness, conscious, and so forth are bridges of means to know oneself. The question is thus, what is the self and why is the self? Because the self is who knows these things, and the self's very identity in essence is that which is immaterial. So it's not, the soul is not material, physical thing. It's an internal thing that will live forever, and it will go home where it came from, in my opinion. But your body obviously will rot because we came on this earth to die. But obviously, you will live forever through Jesus Christ, your soul, through your soul. But the way this planet works is you just get reincarnated again and again. If you've got no religion, you just get reincarnated again and again. Just like the cycle. That's how the cycle is. The 4 seasons on this earth, that's how it's designed. Like it has these seasons, and we're no different to animals. But obviously, man created us and we left the garden because we sinned. And Jesus came down and sacrificed himself because of our sins. And only through him would you live eternally. And that is your soul. That's the whole basis of Christianity. That's what we believe in. Xenophanes' concept of God. So this is another, I think he's a philosopher. Yeah, or learned person. Xenophanes' concept of God. In the following, we view the insight as to a oneness of God. We're not unfamiliar to ancient thinkers who arrived at such conclusion. So yeah, just go back to Lucretius. Because he doesn't believe in a soul or religion, he thinks that people should do good while they're living because there's no afterlife, but that just doesn't make sense. But according to Xenophanes, in the following, we view the insights as to the oneness of God. We're not unfamiliar to ancient thinkers who arrived at such conclusion through philosophical reflection and re-enunciation of ancient mythic ideas of deity that were characterized by non-divine, namely anthropocentric attributes, showing that the divorce of the pre-Socratics from such tradition in the search for truth and the first principle did not necessarily result in an atheistic abandonment of the concept of deity altogether, but interestingly tended to focus on a single one monistic and arguably monotheistic deity, and the dismissal of the ancient gods of myths and idols of history. And this via reason and the embracement of philosophy, showing that philosophy for the ancients did not necessarily signify skepticism and the abrogation of a mystic reality, but instead the rejection of idolatrous reverence of considered false deities or human projections. Xenophanes, a pre-Socratic, rejects the gods for a deity, which attribute strikingly comparable to that of the monotheistic divinity, to which he arrives through independent and free thought based on reason and sense perception. For thousands of years, philosophers pondered on the existence of the divine nature, some affirming it and others conceptually rejecting its possibility in regards to the meaning of being and the condition of morality of humans and living things. Skeptics question whether or not God, proclaimed and seemingly conceptualized by humans, is merely a projection of our own thoughts, self-imagined necessity, and a projection of an illusion so as to withstand existence, psychic and somatic hardship. From among the ancients 2,500 years back, namely, oh my god, so this guy lived 2,500 years ago. His name is Xenophanes of Colophon. To thinkers of the modern period, such as Ludwig Feuerbach, the psychoanalytic Sigmund Freud, notable philosophical and ideological analysis concerning God and religion have been presented and various doctrines spelled out. In the following, we will review some of the ideas and concepts of these thinkers concerning God and religion. and some possible interpretations of their propositions, which we mean to implicitly draw a parallel to the latter revelations of the divine, as expressed and proclaimed by the ancient Abrahamic faith and its fruits. In the following, we will study some noteworthy concepts for the purpose of understanding what ideas of God and religion, not in direct contact with those of the ancient Hebrew prophets and early Christians, might have been more or less headed to the direction of the faith and mystical tradition of the latter two. As it appears, by sheer reason, whilst contrasting the ancient view of Xenophanes with the departing modern views of Feuerbach and Freud, Xenophon viewed the divine nature as real and as all things. Feuerbach thought of it to be an outer projection of the human inner nature, and Freud thought it as non-existent and fictitious. As to religion, while xenophobes criticized mainly elemental aspects of it, Feuerbach thought of it as appealing and useful, and Freud as an illusion. Anyway, these Greek philosophers, they clearly went to Egypt and studied so anyway, he's going into ancient Greek philosophy, which is, very ancient and they were well known. He read up all that. So kudos to him. But what interests me is, he really went in deep, very text heavy. So he talks about these philosophers and then he brings his own view in religion. And that's what this author is basically doing. So this is the author, Lij Tedla Malaku. Very good author. Milesian Legacy and Heraclitus. Oh my God, he'd read all this. Wow. He's a very intelligent guy. If you manage to read all the Greek philosophers, oh my God, that's like text heavy. Like, you have got to have patience to get through Latin and classical philosophy and all stuff like that. You've got to be like a greatest thinker because, I've read Plato. I remember doing that. So let's see what he has to say. He's just comparing their thought with his. Ooh, Genesis. The body and its relation to the soul in Christian thought. Moving on, having viewed the relation between faith and reason, we transition to the ancient Greco and Judaic Christian thought concerning the body and the soul. In the following and henceforth, we gradually penetrate to a sufficient extent for the purpose of our wider discussion into historic Christian philosophy and faith respectively. Some ancient Greek philosophers viewed the human body as an obstacle, a cause for distraction that kept humans from fully investing themselves in seeking the truth because of the need to take care of it by feeding it, clothing it, protecting it from harm, and so forth. Many ancient thinkers, having observed and concluded that there was no coming back from the dead physically, arrived at the judgment that the body was merely a temporal and mortal, whereas the soul is eternal and immortal. But the Jews in the Old Testament times, especially the group known as the Pharisaic movement during the Second Temple, of which is derived the Christian sect as to Mosaic authority, basing their faith on the words of the Hebrew prophets who prophesied that the dead would be risen physically, insisted that death instead was temporal and that the human body too would be raised and immortalized. Christianity is an offshoot of the ancient Hebrew faith, maintained and even reinforced the belief in the resurrection of the dead, historically attested by the physical resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth from the dead, according to the witness of more than 500 people at one time, as stated in Christian texts and all sources.